Your plan isn't failing because it's flawed. It's failing because you built it for someone who doesn't exist when the market is open. You built it for the calm, rational version of you who thinks clearly and follows rules without hesitation. But that version of you isn't the one who needs a plan. The version who needs it is stressed, emotional, second-guessing every decision, and desperate for relief. And most plans fail because they don't account for that gap. Here are the 5 mistakes traders make when building their plans that guarantee they won't follow them. The first mistake is building for your best self. You create rules based on how you think when you're calm. You assume that when the time comes, you'll be able to execute with the same clarity you have right now. But pressure changes everything. The version of you staring at a live chart after 2 losses doesn't think like the version who wrote the plan over coffee on Sunday morning. That version is looking for reasons to skip the trade, to give it more room, to take profit early. Your plan needs to be built for that version. Not the version who understands the strategy. The version who's scared of being wrong again. The second mistake is optimizing before trusting. You build a plan, take 3 trades, lose 2 of them, and immediately start tweaking. You tell yourself you're improving the system, but what you're really doing is avoiding the discomfort of following a plan that isn't working yet. Every edge has variance. Every plan requires a sample size. But if you change the plan every time it produces a result you don't like, you're never testing the plan. You're just reacting to your emotions and calling it optimization. The plan doesn't need to be changed. It needs to be trusted long enough to see if it actually works. And that's the part most traders can't do. The third mistake is confusing complexity with competence. You think that a plan with more rules is a better plan. More indicators, more conditions, more filters, but every additional rule is another decision point, another place where you have to interpret whether something qualifies. And interpretation under pressure is just emotion with a technical wrapper. A complex plan doesn't make you more professional. It makes you more vulnerable. Because the more complex your plan, the easier it is to find a reason not to follow it. A simple plan is harder to argue with, and that's what makes it stronger. The fourth mistake is not pre-accepting your loss tolerance. You build a plan with stop losses, but you never actually decide in advance that you're willing to take them. So when the stop is hit, it doesn't feel like execution. It feels like failure, and your brain starts negotiating. Maybe it needs more room. Maybe it's just a shakeout. Maybe you should have waited. But if you didn't pre-accept the loss when you built the plan, you're always going to fight it when it happens. Loss tolerance isn't something you figure out in the moment. It's something you commit to before the trade. And if you're not willing to take the stop without hesitation, you don't have a plan. You have a hope with a stop loss attached. The fifth mistake is planning for prediction instead of execution. You build your plan around being right. You focus on finding the best entries, the highest probability setups, the perfect conditions. But the plan isn't supposed to make you right more often. It's supposed to make you consistent. And consistency isn't about prediction. It's about execution. Can you take the trade when the conditions are met, even if you don't feel great about it? Can you take the stop when it's hit, even if you think it's wrong? Can you let the winner run, even when you're scared it'll reverse? Those are execution questions. And most plans never address them because they're too busy trying to be smart about the market instead of realistic about behavior. These 5 mistakes all come from the same root. You're building a plan for the trader you want to be, Instead of the trader, you are under pressure. You want to be disciplined, so you assume discipline. You want to be patient, so you assume patience. You want to trust the process, so you assume trust. But assumptions don't survive live trading. Only systems do. And a good system doesn't assume you'll be at your best. It accounts for you being at your worst and still gives you a way to execute. The best plans aren't built around perfect behavior. They're built around probable behavior. What are you actually going to do when you're 3 trades down? What are you actually going to feel when your stop is tested? What are you actually going to think when you miss a winner? If your plan doesn't account for those moments, it's not a plan. It's a fantasy. And the market doesn't care about your fantasy.